It's time for the College Hockey Show! And now here's your host, Jeremiah Maxwell, and the degenerate Bostonian, Mike Warino.
Hey, good evening, guys. No bid tonight, sorry. D-Berry, I appreciate you, man. Thank you very much for chiming in. But yeah, Beard's out today. He will be joining me next weekend here in Boston. We've got a Bruins game, and then I'm going to take him basically on a tour of the Hockey East. This is the local conference near me. You see all the rinks. Yeah, looking forward to it. Doing something a little different tonight. I got the jerseys behind me. Fun fact, Adam Oates actually was drafted by the Boston Bruins and then obviously retired a Washington Capitals, spent 90% of his career. And yes, that is a certified signed Chris Chelios jersey. But this is the College Hockey Show. Just wanted to do something a little different tonight. Thursday night college hockey was in my backyard. Northeastern versus Merrimack. Merrimack, technically the away team, despite being played in Andover at Lawler. Reason being, Northeastern no longer has a rink at the moment. It is under construction. I would say, early on at one point, the shots were 10-2 Northeastern, but the score was 2-0 Merrimack. Did Northeastern dominate the first period? Yes. Were they bad goals? No. It was a power play that was just bar down for the first one. And I'm not putting on the goalie. It was a double screen, and everyone knows if you're on defense, you can move the guy in front of the net. Can't let him set up shop. He set up shop. No way this goalie saw the puck, and it went in. And Merrimack was up 2-0 quick. They would add a third goal on a beautiful, beautiful pass breakup in the neutral zone, breakaway, quick deke, backhander, and at that point, it's 3-0. You're in cruise control. The game did slow down a little bit. We got some aggressiveness and some fighting at the end of the second, but the final score ended up being 4-1. I do want to congratulate Lawler. That was the coldest I've ever been there. My legs are still numb. I've been home for about an hour now. But nonetheless, good times to be had. Cranston, I got to give a shout out to you on Merrimack. You had a pretty goal, a great assist too, a great night for you. Stay out of the box, please. Like every game I watch you play, and I go, this guy's got NHL talent. He's got the speed. He's got the physicality. A lot of people might look at him like, oh, he's kind of like Tkachuk. He's got an edge to him. He knows how to score. The difference is Tkachuk doesn't commit 3 penalties a game. Many people argue he does and say he's dirty, but like Cranston, you're in the box 3 times a game. You probably commit 10. Like, dude, stay out of the box and you're going to the league. But right now, even if you gave me 100 goals a year, I wouldn't want you on my team because you're giving up 200 power plays. Like, stay out of the box, Broski. But that's that for tonight. This is Thursday. There is some very exciting matchups. Very, very exciting. Once again, Wisconsin going to be part of my favorite matchup this weekend. Last week, it was Michigan State and Wisconsin. This time, it is Penn State and Wisconsin. This is pretty straightforward, guys. You have McKenna versus Foley and Shipley. A lot of offense. I am expecting Wisconsin actually to sweep. Reason being, one, they just got swept by Sparty last weekend. I'm expecting a big bounce back for Wisconsin Badgers. That's just who they are. 2, I am someone that has been saying I see Penn State more like the 2019 Wisconsin Badgers, who had 12 first-round picks and didn't even break 500. Obviously, Penn State's going to be above 500. They're obviously going to be better. They're going to make the tournament, which is something that Wisconsin team didn't do. But I just don't see them as a top 10 team. I haven't liked them in the defensive end. I think they have all the talent in the world and then some. I think they're getting a little too much love from the NPI. And when I say that, it's because I think the rankings are kind of fluffing up their opponents. But again, that's the one opinion piece. And at the same time, it's also why I love NPI. It's a computer. It's not a committee. But I'm just not a believer in Penn State. Talk to 90% of the people out there. They laugh in my face, tell me I don't know anything about college hockey, and I don't watch much of it. But my opinion, that's what it is. But nonetheless, Finley versus um, McKenna is something the matchup I'm looking forward to the most this weekend. Penn State, Wisconsin. That is number one game. Can't get enough of it. It's just so much firepower too, and powerhouses. Looking at the MPI here, apologize there. It is 6 versus 7. Oh God, I memed 6-7. Let me get that in there real quick. But no, it's unintentional there. But it is 6v7. It's going to be a great matchup. Um, Looking forward to it. Others staying in the Big Ten, Minnesota and Michigan State. You'll hear me bring that game up later today. Should be a beatdown. Notre Dame, Ohio State, battle of the suck. I actually think Notre Dame can sweep because they're at home, but we shall see. Um, that's really it on that one. I'm going to spend a little bit tonight talking about the CCHA conference because it's tight. All right, years past, we've seen Michigan Tech come out. We've seen Minnesota State, and that's really been the only two teams coming out of this conference making the tournament the last few years. They really haven't made a lot of noise. A few years ago, Minnesota State did go all the way to the national championship game, and they would lose to Denver in my hometown, TD Garden, my first ever Frozen Four. But I want to talk about it because St. Thomas is a team we brought up last year, and Augustana was another. St. Thomas playing Lake Superior, it should be a steamroll for St. Thomas. It should, but let's not count out the Lakers just yet. They are at home, and it's a tough place to play. Lake Superior State does show up. But this conference, I actually think could send two, and a lot of people are like, well, what's the big deal sending two? Typical Powerhouse Hockey East may only send two, and I'm being generous. All right, the name Bostonian is in my name. I am being very generous when I say Hockey East gets two. They're going to get one for sure. Everyone gets one, and I'm not sure. Again, I think someone's going to get the Penn State treatment, whether it's BU or BC, one of the Blue Bloods, and they sneak them in as like a late 16 seed date, basically. But I would love to see St. Thomas and Augustana get in, both make their first official tournament appearances, and they have chances to do that. Augustana is 14, St. Thomas is 13. So, like, if the season ended today, they're both in. And for my Hockey East fans, the next Hockey East team is 12 at Providence, 15 at Boston College, 17 at Boston University. So that's only two. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't see BU getting in. They've had some great additions. BC got Sobek, so that's a huge piece. He's a guy that can play top line center minutes. He's a guy that can play fourth line center minutes. Very diverse, very physical player, and he's your captain. So I do think BC has some promise coming in. BU getting a couple of CHL kids. We'll see, but we've shown the CHL guys need a few games to get acquainted. There's only a few games left. Like, we've got 6 weekends. That's 12 games. You figure it's going to take them 4 to get accustomed to it. I don't know if BU has that time. Gasso's a senior. He's the captain. He's already acquainted. He's already ready to go. So that's why I like BC a little bit more than I like BU this year. Michigan Tech playing Northern Michigan should be a free 4 points for. They're always going to be the Miners in my mind, by the way. It's the Michigan Tech Miners. I know they're the Wolves, the Lobos now, but they're the Miners. All right, it's always going to be that way for me. Same with North Dakota. It's always the Fighting Sioux for me. That's just, I'm old school like that. I never got the memo. I'm actually 30. In my head, I'm really 65, and I hate everybody. Kidding. I love you all. But should be a free 4 points for Michigan Tech. Bowling Green's playing Bemidji State. This is a fun one. These two schools just love hockey. That's just straight up the way it is, the way it goes. If I had to pick a winner there, give me Bemidji, I guess, at home. But I really couldn't tell you. It's certainly not a game I'd like to bet on. ECAC's got rivalry games this week, though, and this is the best part about when you get to the thick of it. For the Ivy League schools, they're really still just picking it up because they start very late. But St. Lawrence versus Clarkson, these two schools hate each other. BUBC hates each other. Michigan and Ohio State hate each other. Duluth and North Dakota hate each other. And now you have St. Lawrence and Clarkson going to Lake Placid last year for the ECAC finals, and Clarkson was playing. They were playing Cornell, and all you heard was "F you, SLU." That is a swear word, you St. Lawrence. And that's all they would say throughout the entire game when we were playing Cornell. And it reminded me of BU, because it doesn't matter who you're playing. When BU scores a goal, BC sucks is the chant that they go with. Doesn't matter who. Could be playing Alaska for all we know. They're still going to chant BC sucks, because that's the way it is. And so like, these two schools just have a strong dislike for each other. Can't wait to watch it. These two schools typically play a very physical game, and now you're putting the rivalry in. It's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be fun. Dartmouth, Cornell, the perennials this year in particular. Again, Dartmouth coming in at number 8, Cornell coming in at number 11. Enough said. I really, really like Cornell. The game is in Ithaca, and that's just it. With that being said, the ECAC does chop up their schedule a little bit. So Friday, Harvard's going to be at Colgate, then they'll be at Ithaca, New York the next night. Colgate didn't get the memo they're supposed to suck this year. They're not playing great, but they always play well at the same time. They just don't win unless we bet against them. We're 0 for 2 betting against them. Harvard didn't get the memo either. They were supposed to be trashed. Then they creeped up in the top 20. Then they creeped up to the top 15. And then they started losing again. They're at 19 right now. So, again, Harvard, I don't know what you're doing. They're certainly better than what they should be this year. And you should smack Colgate. You're supposed to, but we'll see. Colgate has shown time and time again they're going to rise to the occasion. And that's the part I love about it. And this is, I think, what I think is great about the ECAC is they're the only conference not doing NIL money. Quinnipiac is an exception to that. They are 100% doing NIL money, and that gives them a massive advantage. I, in fact, just placed a future on them today at 25-1 to win the entire thing. And preseason last year and this year, I selected BU and Michigan State. BU obviously this year stinks. That's money lost. I'm just chalking up as an L. Michigan State looks fantastic, especially with Ivan being out from my Wolverines. I think that leaves a little bit of a door. Obviously, as a team, Michigan is solid and absolutely should be in the Frozen Four at a minimum. But no, I took Quinnipiac as a future because usually I say Quinnipiac doesn't have the offense, doesn't have the guns, doesn't have the muscle up front to get it done. They've got offense this year. They got a lot of it. And look out for the Bobcats. That's all I can really say. Currently number 10, and I'm expecting them to go places. I'm expecting a deep run out of them in the tournament. With that being said, the current bracket they would be receiving if the tournament ended today, they'd be coming to Worcester. Michigan would be the number 1 seed. Wisconsin would be the number 2 seed in that bracket. Number 3 would be Quinnipiac. The last time Wisconsin and Quinnipiac played, it was in Providence, Rhode Island. The game went to double overtime. It was the most boring game of hockey I've ever watched. Wisconsin should have blown them out of the water. There's a reason their coach got fired in that offseason. He was just a horribly coached game. And that's what happens. They lost on a really bad penalty call, but at the same time, part of me was like, the refs knew Wisconsin didn't deserve to win. They're like, we're going to punish you for this. It just kind of looked like the hockey gods raining down on them. Like, you guys are playing like crap. Your coach isn't coaching. You deserve to lose. That's what that penalty reminded me of, and it cost them the game. And then 16 was going to be the auto bid, which right now would be St. Cloud, which really isn't much of an auto bid. They're pretty good, but I'd expect Michigan to steamroll St. Cloud if they played today, and then they'd play the winner of Wisconsin Quinnipiac. We'll see. With Ivan, Michigan's, I think that's a lock. Without him, we'll see. Josh did. Peck was fantastic this past weekend. This upcoming weekend, Michigan's on a bye, so rest up, everybody. Get healthy. But moving on to Hockey East, Beard, if you are listening, you will see UMass when you come out to see us play. You will see Lowell, you will see BU, you will see BC. You're going to see UNH as well, and you're going to see Merrimack. So you're going to see a lot of Hockey East, most of Hockey East, actually. But the first one for Hockey East is UMass Amherst in Vermont. On paper, this should be an absolute steamroll for the Minutemen. Should be. Vermont is 4-5 at home, and they've won the last 3 games at home. So again, a team that never got the memo they were supposed to suck this year. They're not believing it. They're not buying it. UMass started the year in the top 15, and they've had some losses with Herbal coming back. He's been their backbone the last 2 years in net. He's been a massive boost to the Czech Republic for the U20 teams. He's 20 this year, so he couldn't play. UMass currently at 29. This is a team with Herbal coming back and everyone else in their top line coming back. Well, Musa was already healthy, but now they have their entire first line back and their goalie. This is a team like, all right, they're 29 right now. Can they get to 13? 13's the magic number. They say to get in for the pairwise because the auto bids who are outside the top 16 get a bid. Can they get to 13? This is a team I say yes. They have the strength of schedule coming up. They have to play Providence, who's in the top 15. They have to play BC, who's in the top 15. They have to play BU, who at the moment is top 15. I don't think for now, but I have to assume they're going to win. So assuming they do, you have to play 3 teams within the top 15. That's great NPI boosting. And if you can win those games, it's even better. They're going to be on the road, so that's more NPI points. That's what makes me believe them. Like, all right, you're at 29. Can you get to 13? Yes, I think you can. Other teams in that same boat, Maine at 26, again, have a very similar schedule to UMass Amherst. Arizona State at 22, absolutely, you're in the NCHC. You have to play the top, out of the top 5, you have to play 4 of those teams twice at a minimum, plus your conference tournament. And St. Cloud at 16, so you have to play 5 in the top 16 right now. Oh, I forgot Denver. You have to play 6 in the top 16. Yeah, you have to play 6 teams in the top 16 out of your next 10 games. Yeah, you have plenty of space to move up. So Arizona State, you got to win those games, but you can get in. Maine, I think you can get in. Princeton at 25. The reason I'm saying no, you can't get in. I'm not buying into the Ivy League, and I think for the ECAC and the Ivy League schools, the exception really being Quinnipiac because they did play a lot of out-of-conference. Cornell played a couple. But other than that, I really didn't see too much. Dartmouth played a little bit too. And I want to see, I'm not buying in. You're going to make the jumps needed. Bowling Green at 27. I think if you guys went out, unfortunately, you just don't have the MPI boost in your conference. I said Minnesota State, Michigan Tech, Thomas Augustana. They're not high enough. You need them to go through the roof, and then you have to beat them, which would bring them down. It's a whole mess. Bentley at 30, you're in the Atlantic, same story. I think you can win your conference, get the auto bid. Other than that, I don't see how you guys could creep into the top 13. UNH at 31, same with the hockey schools. They have to play 3 or 4 teams in the top 16. They also have wins against Penn State and Michigan State, so a couple of top 5 wins really boosted them up. Other than that, I think I would put the hammer down there at 31. Everyone else is kind of, to me, in my mind, dead. Union at 32, I don't think you have the firepower to get back. Merrimack at 34, I don't think you have the firepower to get back. Minnesota at 38 would probably be the only exception. I 100% believe if the Golden Gophers run the table, win out the rest of the year, they're in the top 13 for sure. Yeah, if you went out. Everything else after that, I'm really calling it kaputz. I hate saying that. I hate doing that, but that's just kind of where we're at in the season. But it's, anyways, getting back, UMass Vermont, must win for Amherst, and Vermont has proven they're not an easy out at home. Maine and Lowell, I will be at both of these games this weekend. With that being said, I have free tickets for BU Providence. I can't get there tomorrow. I got to go to work. I'm working in Lowell tomorrow, so I'm not driving an hour and a half to go to a game. I'm going to drive 5 minutes. So yeah, I got 4 tickets. BU Providence at Providence. They are yours if you want them. Send me a DM. Maine should smack them. Lowell is another team that has proven this year that when at home, they can hold their own. But this should, as much as this should be a beatdown for the Bears, they did absolutely embarrassed against the Providence Friars. So we'll see. But then they went to Denver and took 3 out of 4 points. So which Maine team are we going to get? I think talent-wise, Maine is a top 10 team. The problem is when they step on the ice, like sometimes they play like a top 10, going to Denver, taking 3 out of 4. Sometimes they play like a bottom 50, getting absolutely dolly-whopped by Providence back-to-back games. So I don't know what to think of this Maine team. We shall see. BU Providence, definitely my favorite Hockey East matchup this weekend. Very bummed I can't make it. It is what it is. That's how life goes. Must win for both. Pretty tight in the rankings. Just want to double check them. Let's see. BU sitting there at 17. Providence sitting at 12. It's tough for me to take Providence, even though they're at home, and they've been excellent at home, just because they have 0 upperclassmen. Svedback's hurt. He's not on the bench. He's walking around, signing autographs, being an absolute dude, which is what I want to see. When you're a healthy scratch, obviously watch the games, take your notes, etc. But when you have a chance to walk around and meet the fans, I think that's what you should do. And he does that. He's very good at it. Again, they've had some transfers come in mid-season with the new rules, and I think they're great. So is BU, and I look at BU. They've been there. They've done that. Some of these guys are trying to go for their 4th Frozen Four on this team. 22 draft picks. Most of the team played in the national championship game last year. And Jay just knows how to kick it into gear in the second half of the season. So they struggled against Lowell last week. They should have swept them. They barely got a win. I'm expecting the Terriers to turn it around. We'll see. Next up is BC and UNH. And I look at that one and go, again, on paper, that should be a sweep for BC. BC has struggled. I watched them struggle very mightily against Providence last weekend. UNH has been great against some of these powerhouse schools, so I don't know what to say. On paper, it says BC should crush them. I think it's a home team split, straight up. So Friday, it's at Chestnut Hill. Give me BC. Saturday, it is up in Durham. Give me UNH. I think it's a home team split. Nothing to it. Rounding out Hockey East, Northeastern and Merrimack play again tomorrow at Lawler at North Andover. Again, tonight's game was technically Northeastern's home game. Tomorrow is technically Merrimack's home game. Northeastern doesn't have a rink. I expect the Huskies to bounce back. They came out firing first period. They had 2 lazy plays, led to 2 quick goals. And then the game was very balanced after that, but it really slowed down. And I don't blame them. It takes the wind out of your sails when you're down 3-0 early. But they looked good at times. I will say tonight's officiating was horrible both ways. Bad icing calls, bad offsides calls, phantom hand passes. I don't know. Tonight it was one of those games like I think they're getting paid by the hour, so they're just blowing their whistle. Not the best officiating. Moving on from it. If you need me to pick a winner, give me the Huskies. But anyone's game there. But this year, we're gonna go to the Connecticut tournament. I want to save the best for last because there's one conference I did skip, and it is my favorite conference this year. But the Connecticut tournament, there's 4 schools in Connecticut. It's very simple. They each play Friday. Winners play, losers play. Straight up. Quinnipiac plays Sacred Heart. UConn plays Yale. Both these games are going to be played in New Haven. It's great because 1 ticket, 2 games. It's awesome. I love it. So These are the games. It functions like the Beanpot, shall we say, but they get it done in one weekend instead of over a week. Quinnipiac Sacred Heart. Last time these two played, Quinnipiac, the bet was Quinnipiac regulation, and they won with 0.05 seconds on the clock. Yukon or Quinnipiac, I'm sorry, please don't cut it that close again because we're probably going to be taking you when they post the lines late. They haven't posted much. I am noticing at like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, they're posting. All of a sudden, I get 40 games to me. I'm like, why were these posted yesterday? We'll go into that later this evening on the show. But UConn's playing Yale. UConn's a team that I think if they get their act in gear, they can go back to the tournament and make a nice deep run again. If they get their act in gear, Viking, you got to show up, man. Like everyone in the country knows who you are. You're big, you're strong, you're powerful. And every time I go to watch you play, you suck. Like you just disappear on the ice. I literally have to ask my friends, like, you've seen Viking? It's like he was just out there. Like where? Like he was the one that got planted. Like you were not supposed to be the one getting bullied on the ice. You are the bully Viking. I'm gonna get on you for that. Sorry. Step up. You're way too good to be playing this bad. Some non-conference play, Princeton and Bentley. Actually, that's a massive game for Princeton in particular. Bentley's on the top of the Atlantic, and that is massive for them because that is a one-team conference going to the tournament. So they need this NPI boost, and they need these 2 points vitally. Princeton, with that being said, you're 25. You cannot lose to Bentley. End discussion. Do not lose to Bentley. You cannot lose to Bentley. You are at 25. Long Island is playing Alaska Anchorage, or the green logoed Alaska team. Enjoy the trip to Alaska, boys. I'm expecting you to win both of your games. Lindenwood is playing Fairbanks, or the blue Alaska team. I'm expecting Alaska to win that one, actually. They're at home. I like the guys from Lindenwood. They're funny. I enjoyed seeing the Cardinals game with them last year. I just think Alaska going to win at home. But I did say I skipped one conference. That is the NCHC, the West Coast Conference, the force behind this year's top 5. I mean, it is comical how strong this conference is. Guns blazing. First one, we're going to talk about Western Michigan and Duluth, the defending national champions with the Komolsky brothers versus the Plant brothers. It doesn't get any better. Number 4 versus number 5. Am I betting this game? No. It's hard for me to do so because I'm someone that does rag on Western Michigan for not showing up in big games. Last year, obviously, they did. They won it all, and they looked great in the tournament. Duluth, I just hate them. I've had so many negative interactions with athletes from there, not just their hockey team, their ultimate frisbee team, their soccer team, basketball team. I've just had too many negative interactions from that school for me to like them. So I have bet on them this year because I know they're good. And not everyone from Minnesota Duluth is evil. I want to be very clear. It's just I've had a lot of bad and unfortunately too many negatives. So it's kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But that's creme de la creme. If you're not going to say Wisconsin, Penn State, it's Western Michigan and Minnesota Duluth is the best matchup this weekend. Another one, no teams not to slouch on, is Colorado College and Omaha. And now, do I think these teams are going to make the tournament? No. I thought they had an outside chance, both of them coming into this year. It'd be a little bit of a stretch, but as the season's played out, definitely not. No. Omaha, you're sitting at 45 and Colorado College at 35. So, no, I don't think you guys are going to make it. But that being said, it's a great game, great weekend to go to. It's in Omaha. Goaltending matchup, excited. Mervback versus Lawton. Both these guys make a lot of saves. So I'm expecting if lines to get posted at under 5.5 to come out of my mouth. Next up, North Dakota, Arizona State. It is in Tempe. North Dakota should wax them. Last year, Arizona State needed a vital 3-point weekend against, at that time, number 4 Denver. They actually got 4 points that weekend. Now, granted, they won one of those games in overtime, so Denver did squeak away with a point. North Dakota's number 3 this time. Last time it was number 4. I love Nodak in this game. Minus 120 on the road, plus 150 at minus 1.5. I'm not touching this with a 10-foot pole. No way. This is Arizona State's weekend. They're going to pull off the upset. They're going to go into cruise control. And this is when we're going to go, oh crap, they just beat North Dakota. They're going to go from 22 to I'm going to say 18, maybe 17. And now all of a sudden Arizona State's banging on that door again. You're like, what's going on? What are they going to do? What are they going to do next weekend after that? Last game in the NCHC is Denver and St. Cloud. It's in Denver. Denver should smackety-smack them because of that. St. Cloud on the road this year, 3-5. Not a good away team. Denver 5-1 at home, so they haven't been strong at home. They're coming in hot. And Denver knows they need the points. I mean, all the teams know they need the points, but at 13-10, you haven't been great. You're going against a 12-12 team. So you scroll down here to the standings. You're like, all right, where you at? You're 5 points behind North Dakota. It's tough to catch them. You're 3 points ahead of Duluth. Easy to be caught there. St. Cloud is in 5th at 17 points. They're 6 points behind Western Michigan. They're tired with Arizona State. So they understand how important these points are. But Miami of Ohio is in 7th in that conference with 16 points. Imagine that. Miami, that's for funsies here. Miami plays an out-of-conference game next week, gets a sweep, 4 points, boom. St. Cloud loses both games in overtime, so they get 2 points. St. Cloud goes from 5th all the way to 7th. Your first-round matchup goes from potentially at home or away, you're battling for who gets home ice against Western Michigan, to you're on the road at Mini Duluth, or you're on the road at Denver. Good luck. But I did say I wanted to end. We always end with gambling, as you guys know, especially on the Thursday nights. We did go down 2 units last weekend. I'm sorry. I said up front when I couldn't make the show that wasn't my favorite weekend. It wasn't nothing really loved about it. It is what it is. But I'm noticing a lot of lines have been coming in late. And the reason for that is we're winning. It's not just people like me. I don't bet enough to move the needle. I wish I could. I wish I had that kind of funding. I don't. Do I know people that do that? Yeah. There's someone on this show whose unit is $5,000. So let's do the math here. I'm up 14.48 units. Just for simple math, we're going to round to 14.5. You multiply that by $5,000. So what's that? 10 is 50, 5 is 25. So he's up over $75,000 for me this year. That's decent change. And why do you guys, sports books, they won't, right? But if his units are $5,000, what's the guy that he knows? Because I know he lives in Vegas. I'm gonna see him at the Frozen Four. Beard's gonna see him when he goes out to Vegas in the Frozen Four. We've already talked to him. Can't wait to meet my friends. I can't wait to see my friends again, and I can't wait to introduce the Beard to him. But he knows guys that bet $50,000 a game and $100,000 a game. If your average bet's $100K a game, I've made you over $1 million. That moves the needle. People get mad about that, and that's why games are getting released super late. Because if people like me, who feed other people who have money that bet, they don't want to snipe it in. So I can get a couple hundred of you, maybe 1,000 of you to bet a game tonight. And that game I love is Michigan State. You're at home. You're minus 120 and minus 1.5, which I think is nuts. If you're Minnesota, it's disrespectful. Straight up, be pissed, be disrespected. But, that is what it is. Wisconsin and Penn State are pick'ems. I'm probably going to take Wisconsin plus 1.5 at home, just because it's a safe. I think in my mind, it's a safe bet. I'm actually going to play with this a little bit because this is what I do live, as you guys can tell. I worked a lot this week. I did 83 hours, and I've only slept an hour and a half today, or the last 2 days. It was a 40-hour shift. But the other game I like is Denver minus 1.5 at home. North Dakota money line is tempting at minus 210, but at the same time, it's minus 210. But my favorite bet by far is Michigan State minus 1.5. And, that's the one I'm like, all right, definitely lock in. If you want to get fancy, which I do, I will take Wisconsin at the plus 1.5 as well if you parlay them at plus 148. But my favorite bet is Michigan State minus 1.5 from minus 120. Honestly, I'm going to go 1.2 units to cover the juice. So if we win, we get a full unit, and we're back within one. That's all I have for tonight. I will go the units wise again, guys. Sometimes you're like, well, hey, wait a minute, you should be up. You should be up over 20 units based off how many wins. Well, correct, but not every win I have is a full unit. Sometimes I'm saying, hey, take this game at minus 150. You're only getting 0.5 units profit on one unit there. And some of my wins, if I hit 2 out of 3 in a parlay, I'm putting 2 correct in my wins. I'm putting 1 incorrect in my loss. And I'm taking off a unit because it was in the parlay and it's a loss. So that's just how I'm calculating. So again, if you've been following my bets to the T, it's 14.48 so far this year. My goal is to get to 31, simply because we were at 30.6 last year, or 30.36, I'm sorry, last year to end. And my goal is to beat that. The other future, as I said, I did take a future today. I was just kind of scrolling through lines. I got Quinnipiac to win the national championship at 25-1. I just thought the value was there. They always have great defense. They always have great goaltending. They always have strong centermen. But this year they've got offense. I'm like, this is a team. They've proven in the past without offense to be the Big Ten killer. And now you have to be the NCHC killer, and I don't think they care. I straight up don't think they care. They're going to beat anyone. They're going to beat anyone in their path. So that's why I took them. It's a value bet. It's 25-1. It's big odds, big odds. If you don't know what 25-1 means, it's plus 2,500. But that's our show. I thank you guys for tuning in. I apologize, couldn't get the Instagram going. That is the Beard. He is way more tech savvy than I am. Daniel Berry, always a pleasure when you guys chime in. As I said, guys, DM me for free tickets. FREE. I got 4 of them for tomorrow's BU Providence game. I can't go. I'm mad. This is one of the games I wanted to go to. I can't go. So let me know. With that being said, cheers, guys. Thank you for dealing with how tired I am. I apologize. I'm going to sleep like a bear tonight, and have a good one.